Sammy the Bull Gravano, a name that resonates with both fear and respect in the annals of organized crime. The name itself sends chills down the spines of many. Gravano's reputation was built on a foundation of ruthless efficiency and an unyielding commitment to the Mafia code. Born in 1945, Gravano's story begins not in the gilded cages of the elite, but on the gritty streets of Brooklyn. It was here, amidst the hustle and bustle of a post-war America, that Gravano's character was forged. He was a product of his environment, a world where respect was earned through fear and violence. The streets were his classroom, and survival was the lesson. The allure of the Mafia, with its promise of power and wealth, proved irresistible to a young Gravano. The Mafia's shadowy world offered a sense of belonging and purpose that he craved. He joined the Gambino family, one of New York's most notorious crime syndicates. This was the beginning of a journey that would see him rise to the upper echelons of organized crime. His ruthlessness and unwavering loyalty quickly earned him the respect of his superiors. Gravano was not just another foot soldier, he was a man destined for greatness within the Mafia's ranks. Gravano rose through the ranks, leaving a trail of blood in his wake. Each act of violence was a stepping stone, each betrayal a rung on the ladder to power. He was a cold-blooded killer, a man who carried out the orders of his bosses without hesitation or remorse. His hands were stained with the blood of countless victims. His reputation as a formidable enforcer solidified his position within the Gambino family. Gravano was a man to be feared and respected, a true embodiment of Mafia power. Yet beneath the tough exterior, a storm was brewing. Gravano's mind was a battlefield of ambition and loyalty, a dangerous mix that would soon come to a head. Gravano's ambition and growing dissatisfaction with the leadership of John Gotti, the flamboyant head of the Gambino family, set the stage for a seismic shift in the landscape of organized crime. The stage was set for a dramatic and violent power struggle that would change the Mafia forever. The 1980s were a turbulent time for the Gambino family, one of the most powerful Mafia organizations in New York City. The streets were rife with crime, and the underworld was in a constant state of flux. John Gotti's brazen style and lust for media attention brought unwanted scrutiny from law enforcement. His flamboyant persona made him a target, not just for the police but also for rival factions within the Mafia. Gravano, ever the pragmatist, saw the cracks appearing in their empire. He understood that Gotti's high profile was a double-edged sword, drawing both admiration and dangerous attention. Tensions reached a boiling point with the assassination of Paul Castellano, Gotti's predecessor. This brazen act was a clear signal that the old ways were being replaced by a new, more ruthless order. Gravano played a pivotal role in the hit, orchestrating the assassination outside Sparks Steakhouse in Manhattan. The murder was meticulously planned, showcasing the cold, calculated nature of Mafia operations. This act of betrayal cemented Gotti's power and Gravano's position as his trusted underboss. Together they ruled with an iron fist, their partnership built on mutual ambition and a shared vision of dominance. The years that followed were a whirlwind of violence and illicit business dealings. The Gambino family expanded their operations, delving deeper into drug trafficking, extortion, and other illegal enterprises. Gravano was directly involved in 19 murders, his hands stained with the blood of rivals and traitors. Each killing was a step further into the abyss, a testament to the brutal reality of Mafia life. He was living proof that loyalty within the Mafia was a fickle and often deadly game. Trust was a rare commodity, and betrayal was always lurking in the shadows, waiting to strike. But the walls were closing in. The once untouchable empire was beginning to crumble under the weight of its own violence and the relentless pursuit of justice. The FBI, led by the relentless agent Jules Bonavolonta, was building a case against the Gambino family, and Gravano was in their sights. The net was tightening, and the days of unchecked power were numbered. Faced with the prospect of a life behind bars, he made a decision that would send shockwaves through the underworld. Gravano chose to cooperate with the authorities, a move that would forever alter the landscape of organized crime. In 1991, Sammy the Bull Gravano, the epitome of Mafia loyalty, became the highest-ranking member of the five families to turn state's evidence. This unprecedented move shocked both law enforcement and the criminal underworld alike. His cooperation with the government sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld and beyond. Gravano's testimony was explosive, revealing secrets that had been closely guarded for decades. He detailed the inner workings of the Gambino family exposing their criminal enterprises and implicating his former associates in a litany of crimes. His revelations were a goldmine for prosecutors. His words carried weight, painting a vivid and terrifying picture of the Mafia's grip on New York. The city, already familiar with the Mafia's influence, was now seeing the extent of its reach and brutality. The trial of John Gotti, the once Teflon Don, became a media sensation. Cameras and reporters swarmed the courthouse, capturing every moment of the high-profile trial. Gravano's testimony was the key to his downfall. His detailed accounts left no room for doubt, sealing Gotti's fate. Gotti, who had evaded justice for years, was found guilty on all charges and sentenced to life in prison, without the possibility of parole. The once untouchable mob boss was finally behind bars. Gravano's cooperation came at a price. He had to leave his old life behind, knowing he could never return to the world he once ruled. He was branded a traitor, a rat in the eyes of the Mafia. The betrayal was unforgivable, and the Mafia does not forget. A contract was put on his life, forcing him to disappear into the witness protection program. His new life was one of constant vigilance and secrecy. His betrayal sent ripples through the Mafia, forever changing the landscape of organized crime. The once unbreakable code of silence had been shattered, and the Mafia would never be the same again. Life in the witness protection program proved ill-suited for a man accustomed to power and control. Sammy Gravano, stripped of his identity and former life, struggled to adapt to anonymity. He yearned for the days when his word carried weight, when fear was his currency. In a move that shocked many, Gravano left the protection program, resurfacing in Arizona under an assumed name. He attempted to outrun his past, but the shadow of the Mafia loomed large. Old habits die hard, and it wasn't long before Gravano found himself on the wrong side of the law. In 2000, he was arrested on federal drug charges, accused of running a massive ecstasy ring. The bull was back, but this time, there would be no escaping justice. Section 5. Finding a Voice. Sentenced to 19 years in prison, Sammy Gravano had ample time to reflect on his life. The silence of confinement allowed him to confront the demons of his past and grapple with the consequences of his actions. But Gravano, true to form, was not content to fade into obscurity. In 2017, he was released from prison, a changed man, or so he claimed. He embraced the digital age, launching a podcast, Our Thing, where he shared stories from his life in the Mafia. His YouTube channel, with its raw and unfiltered content, garnered a following of those fascinated by the allure of the underworld. Gravano's foray into the digital world was met with mixed reactions. Some saw it as an attempt at rehabilitation, a way for him to atone for his past sins. Others viewed it as a platform for self-aggrandizement, a way for him to profit from his notoriety. In a move that surprised even the most seasoned political observers, Sammy the Bull Gravano, the former mobster-turned-government informant, publicly endorsed Donald Trump for president in 2024. Gravano, sporting a Trump Gravano 2024 t-shirt at a Trump rally in Glendale, Arizona, cited open borders as a key issue that solidified his support. He drew parallels between Trump and the Mafia, claiming that both operated with a certain level of ruthlessness and an America First mentality. The endorsement sparked outrage and bewilderment. Critics questioned Gravano's motives and the appropriateness of a convicted killer involving himself in the political process. Supporters, however, saw it as an example of Trump's broad appeal, even attracting support from the most unlikely of places. Sammy Gravano's life is a study in contradictions. He is a man who has embraced both the brutality of the Mafia and the supposed redemption of cooperation with the government. He is a convicted killer who seeks to rebrand himself as a media personality, sharing his story with the world. His endorsement of Donald Trump only adds to the enigma. Is it a genuine expression of political belief or a calculated attempt to remain relevant, to capitalize on the notoriety of a polarizing figure? Gravano's story challenges our perceptions of right and wrong, loyalty and betrayal. He is a reminder that the line between good and evil is often blurred, and that even the most hardened criminals are capable of change, or at least the appearance of it. Sammy the Bull. Gravano's place in history is secure, but the question remains, will he be remembered as a ruthless mobster or a complex figure who ultimately chose to cooperate with the government? His legacy is forever intertwined with the violence and corruption of the Gambino crime family. His decision to turn state's evidence, while instrumental in bringing down John Gotti, came at a steep price. He betrayed the oath of silence, the very foundation of the Mafia, and in doing so, invited the wrath of his former comrades. Whether Gravano's attempts at redemption through his podcast and YouTube channel are genuine or simply a means to control his narrative is a matter of debate. One thing is certain, his story continues to captivate, repulse, and spark controversy. Sammy the Bull. Gravano's story is far from over. At over 70 years old, he remains a figure of fascination, his life a tangled web of crime, betrayal, and reinvention. The announcement of an FX series based on his life ensures that his story will continue to be told and analyzed for years to come. Whether he finds true redemption or succumbs to the allure of his past remains to be seen. One thing is certain, Sammy the Bull Gravano is a survivor, a man who has stared death in the face and emerged time and again to tell his tale. His story serves as a cautionary tale, a reminder of the seductive power of organized crime and the devastating consequences of a life lived in the shadows. It is a story of ambition, betrayal, and the enduring human capacity for both great evil and perhaps even greater change.